Welcome to the Holdo Maneuver Podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Mike. We're two hardworking dads trying to immerse ourselves in Star Wars and fit it into our very busy lives.
In the short form Star Wars podcast, we'll share our thoughts on different topics from a galaxy far, far away. Hey Mike, what did Obi-Wan tell Luke when he was having a difficult time using chopsticks?
Oh man, what would you tell him? I don't know. What did he tell him?
Use the forks, Luke.
Wah, wah.
Yeah. So we are back this week to talk about the Obi-Wan Kenobi season finale.
It better be season finale.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a minute or two. But so this week our guest is going to be Stanford Clark. He's going to join us a little bit later in the episode to discuss the episode itself. But to start off this episode, Mike and I are going to kind of wrap up the Star Wars news from the past week. And the first bit of news comes from Jon Favreau, the head, co-head of The Mandalorian with Dave Filoni. He's going to be receiving a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2023 in the television category. So this is pretty cool. And I remember like a few years when I found out like the whole kind of process to like how you get a star on the Walk of Fame is essentially someone has to nominate you and then like they pay the fee.
I always thought
for
it had
you
to do with like you donating X amount of money to charity over time. So I always I didn't realize you had to be nominated and all that fun stuff, but it's cool he's getting it. I always thought he had one based by now, but I guess not.
Yeah. More recently, I've noticed a lot. It's almost used as like a promotional tool a lot of the times for some things. So specifically with this, I've noticed too, since it's going to be in 2023, I'm pretty sure it'll be timed to be like around the release of season 3 of The Mandalorian, I would bet. And I'm going to assume either like Kathleen Kennedy or someone within Lucasfilm or Disney was the person that did the nomination and, paid, but I don't know what I think it's
10
the
grand
fee is for it, but I know they're okay. Yeah, because I remember like back when like Chris Farley finally got a star like posthumously, it was because like Sandler and Chris Rock and Spade and Schneider and all them chipped in together and nominated and paid for it for him. So it's definitely like nowadays, like I said, it's definitely more like a kind of secondary marketing tool, but it is still pretty cool though that he's getting it. And interesting too that it'll be in the television category, just with how much he's done.
Probably more on why he got, who nominated him, I guess. Maybe picked the television category.
Yeah, so that's another reason why I'm assuming it's having to do with like a Mandalorian tie-in and whatnot. But regardless, it's still pretty cool, and it'll be sometime in early 2023. Probably around February or so when Mandalorian Season 3 premieres.
Next up in news,
but going from there,
Wesley Snipes wants to join Star Wars, would love to feature in The Mandalorian. I say no. What say you?
I don't know. I think depending on the character, could be interesting. Because he also fits like that certain kind of like if he had like the same kind of like I guess like charisma and whatnot as he plays as like when he's Blade or whatnot in those films, it could be interesting to see him play like maybe a character like along those lines, like within like the Mando like timeline of the Star Wars universe. I'm not sure like exactly where, but he said it would be cool to be part of the Star Wars universe. And he said that he's been a fan since the 70s and remembered going to the theater and watching it. And he said doing The Mandalorian would be fun too. And he said that he and Ming-Na he did a film with her that was very different from other stuff that they've done initially, but he said that basically off of that he would want to work with her again if she was going to be within that. So I guess it would have to be like another crossover
Yeah.
with Book of Boba Fett and whatnot. So it would be like Fennec Shand, Boba Fett, Din Djarin, and whoever Wesley Snipes was
I mean,
playing.
the part of what makes Star Wars is the lack of huge stars being in it. We're seeing more now, more commonplace to have bigger names pop up, but putting him in it, I think, would be a detriment. I think it'd be more, oh, look, it's Wesley Snipes in The Mandalorian, not The Mandalorian. And
Right.
oh, maybe a one-off episode where he does something. Or maybe he doesn't pay his taxes in that episode, and Mando has to hunt him down. I don't know, but
Yeah, something with the Trade Federation, because they had all that stuff going on with taxes and in the Phantom Menace. So maybe he's a Nemoidian, or he could just have a helmet on too. He could be like a helmeted character, and then much like Din or like Zori Bliss, and that way you only, or like how like Jason Sudeikis or a few other people have appeared in Star Wars recently, just as like troopers or helmeted characters, basically doing the voice.
Or what Bill Hader was BB-8, because that makes sense. Like he made those.
Oh yeah, Bill Hader and Ben Schwartz. So a mixture of those two were BB-8. The first B was Bill Hader. The second B was Ben Schwartz.
Sounds to make them.
And that is the origin of BB-8's
Take
name.
it to the bank.
Yeah, that's a Holdo maneuver exclusive.
Daniel Craig was a stormtrooper, I believe, too. So
Yeah,
that's fine. Make him in a role you don't really know it's him. I don't want him taking over anything. Too big of a name, and not that good of a name, in my opinion.
but yeah, the other thing that came out this week too was a new trailer for the next Lego holiday special, I guess, because they did a Christmas holiday special, then they did a Halloween special over the past year or so, and then this one is going to be a summer vacation special. And the one thing that stands out above everything else from this trailer that I thought was great was, at first, I saw the Lego minifig character in the trailer, and I was like, wait, is that Weird Al? And then Then I realized the music playing was Weird Al too, and it was a Beach Party on Scarif is the name of it. So I'm looking forward to downloading that.
I'm looking forward to this because I've been clamoring for more comedy in Star Wars. I think there's just so much material in the Star Wars universe that just needs to be made fun of.
Yeah, and like there was that Seth Green Detours Star Wars show that kind of got shelved just for random different reasons, and because of like the Disney acquisition of Lucasfilm, but that was one of the reasons. Maybe hopefully that eventually gets put out. But I liked this Christmas special they did a year or so back, and they all kind of take place. And I know they're not like technically canon because of what happens in them and whatnot. But like story wise, if they were going to be canon to something, they kind of take place after Rise of Skywalker, at least for the portions of it that are those characters. From this trailer, though, it looks like it's kind of like segmented to like 3 different things, where it's like after that with like Finn and Rey and Poe and everybody, like after
Vader
Rise of
and
Skywalker, and
there,
then it looks like
Ghost Obi-Wan's there.
Yeah, and then there's like, it looks like there's a young Ben Solo with Leia and parts of it.
Be careful,
and then,
watch your
and
hands.
then like you said, there's
a tendency to lose them.
Yeah, people in our family have a tendency to lose hands. And then like you said, there was the Ghost Obi-Wan, but then there's also it looks like maybe like flashback to like Obi-Wan when he's younger. So that'll be interesting to see all that. But I like this Lego comedy that they usually do between these shorts. Is similar to like the Lego video games and like how they've done in like the Lego movies between like Lego Ninjago, Lego movie, and Lego
They're so
Batman.
funny
It's
and they're so
kind of like
good
that
and
same
they
kind
shouldn't
of
be,
humor.
and they just are. Just
Yeah, but what did you think about
I
the
enjoyed
trailer?
it. I like I said, it's the comedy I need in Star Wars to get a break from all the serious, horrendous stuff that does happen. Like just to have them poke fun at each other, even if it's in Lego form, is a relief, and it'll make me chuckle and chortle and laugh and all the verbs and adjectives. And I don't have a thesaurus in front of me, so can't keep going. But it looked good. My fear is Disney might make it too kiddie and not adult humor. I did laugh when Palpatine was complaining to Vader that you need to make sure you put sunscreen on my shoulders because last time I burned. That was.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, because he is pretty chalky white, so I think yeah. From like the other specials, there's a good kind of
Right.
like line of smart, subtle, like adult humor in there, like much to the same way that like '90s
Mm.
Disney movies had, that we didn't notice the jokes until we were adults.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I.
I see the Mighty Ducks film when they say, "Now what are the blue balls?" And all the kids laugh, and I never knew why that was a joke until I was older.
Yeah, I mean, it
But
looks good. I'm looking forward to it because it'll give me that comedy fix I need from Star Wars, in some sense.
yeah, and I wonder if I don't remember what the magazine was. I think it was maybe Rolling Stone, but there was like a Rolling Stone cover from the '70s or early '80s, I think rather, because it was for Return of the Jedi. That was Carrie Fisher in the Jabba's palace Leia outfit with like a Gamodian guard and like I think like another character from Jabba's palace, like all at the beach, like. And I'm wondering if there'll be some kind of joke like reference to like that whole like cover to that, because it seems like it would fit in
Right.
with this being like a summer vacation and some of them being at the beach a part
Possible.
of it.
Won't know until the summer. Oh wait.
But yeah, 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 and it's supposed to it's coming out. It looks
August, I think.
like on August 5th. So we'll probably cover that around the same time that we do our episodes for the Industrial Light and Magic docu series. That's going to be on around that same time too.
Looking forward to it. Next up, the Star Wars X-wing fighter model used in A New Hope fetches an astonishing $2.3 million at auction. That's absurd money to me. Like,
But
I
pretty
agree.
cool.
It's pretty cool. Like who has that kind of money just laying around to buy a model? Not me.
Leonardo DiCaprio,
Oh, wrong kind of model.
Ewan McGregor. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, for Leo. But maybe if you're, although feel like if you're Ewan, you could just be like, hey, can you,
That's mine
can you
now.
give me that? You want to give me that?
Well, speaking of him, like I
But-
remember the story from the prequels that he kept getting in trouble because how many lightsabers he was breaking on set.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm sure him and Hayden probably procured
Oh,
a
yeah.
few that they took home during
And
during the
Read somewhere
prequels.
that everyone who's a Jedi, prominent Jedi, Lucas bought them or made them a special engraved version of their lightsaber.
Oh yeah, and we all know notoriously what Samuel L. Jackson's lightsaber hilt has engraved on it, BAMF. I will let our listeners figure out what that stands for.
Just listen to Dane Cook.
But yeah,
He'll tell you.
yeah, yeah. With the X-wing miniature model, it was created by ILM for the original film, and it was estimated to go for like $500,000 to $1 million, but ended up, like you said, going for about
Yeah,
2.3 million, which is so crazy. And it's for the Red X-wing squadron leader Garvin Dryas, played by Drew Henley. It was his X-wing from the film.
Not even like a prominent like main.
Yeah, it's not even like it's not even like Luke's or even like Wedge's. It's or even Porkins. But yeah, I think that's cool. It's from a screen from a pyro shot, like where an explosion's going off around the engine. So I don't know. I think like stuff like this. If I was ever rich, I probably would have I probably would be dropping money.
If I
on
had
stuff
that
like
kind
this.
of money,
If
just be like, I want that. I'd probably have it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, if you just had 2.3 million to drop, like it was nothing for that, and that like you'd still be like married after.
Yeah.
If you were married, then all for it. But I think that's pretty cool, and it would be awesome to have stuff like that. And I think someday it would be cool just to check out the Lucasfilm archives. I was because I had Hal Hickel on Animation Fascination years back. Back in 2017, I was lucky enough to be able to like go and walk around ILM a bit with him, and I got to see like a bunch of this stuff like in the studio there, which was pretty cool. And one of the funny things I found out was that the ship in Galaxy Quest is designed to look like those toilet seat covers. So the next time you watch Galaxy Quest, if you look at the ship, it's designed to be like a toilet seat cover.
Not even
I think
Spaceballs, Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, but some pretty cool stuff. Going from there, we've talked about Cal Kestis a little bit on the show with the Fallen Order video games and its upcoming sequel, the Jedi Survivor game. There's recently kind of been rumors going around that he might get his own Disney Plus show. Now, this, I'm not, so part of, the rumor is that, basically the actor Cameron Monaghan had signed on to play the character for the video games, as well as in a live-action series for Disney Plus, is what the rumor's saying. So with this, I'm kind of wondering what they would do as far as if it would be set after the games. But then what they have to do there is they have to make a show that both fits people that have never played the video game, as well as gifts and rewards people that have played the video games.
I'm from a person who hasn't played the video games. I'm perfectly fine with them ignoring me and just following the video game storyline to reward those who did play it. I will catch up. I will figure out what's going on. You can still make a great show based on that video game. It doesn't have to be catered to those who haven't, in my opinion. But it wouldn't hurt for those who aren't me and have that mindset.
Yeah, and even if he was to just show up in another series, say if they did do a season 2 of Obi-Wan, he could show up there. He was on the TV show Gotham as one of the versions of the Joker.
I know him from Shameless,
and then he was also, I was gonna say he was also on the show Shameless with William H. Macy. But I don't know. I like Cameron Monaghan. I like the character of Cal Kestis, and he's keeps going up in popularity a lot too, because they have his lightsaber hilt at Galaxy's Edge, where you can pick that up now too. And they even made his saber there. One of the ones where if you bought 2 of them, they would connect. There's a modification in the game where you can mod your saber to either be a double-bladed hilt or different variations of how you can do things with it in the game to customize it to your liking. So when they made it available at the parks, they kind of added part of that to it. So I think it's kind of cool. But I don't know. I don't know if I need a full series with him, because I like the character in the games by himself. But maybe kind of in the same way as Black Rashansan, or I probably just butchered his name, from Book of Boba Fett. like how he shows up and he's like a prominent
Right.
comic book character.
Yeah, you could do something like that.
It would be
A couple
cool to
one-off appearances here or there, or a couple appearances, whatever. Not really one-off if there's multiple, but that wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
But depending on who's behind the full series, it'd be good. And they haven't really gone awry with Star Wars yet. Book of Boba Fett was kind of a letdown, but I still enjoyed it. It was still good.
Yeah. The like even like the not is great Star Wars is still leagues and leagues better than some of like other stuff that's out there to watch.
Very much so.
And what's interesting too is like with Cal's character, a lot of more of stuff from that game is like started to make its way into other stuff too. So like the Inquisitorius base showed up on Obi-Wan this season. The BD droid showed up in Book of Boba Fett recently. So it's a little bit more and more stuff from his game.
So he just needs to show up now, right?
In different, yeah, and it looks like from stuff that we saw in the Andor trailer, there could be other things from the game that show up in other series. So it's all up for grabs, and I always like the blending more and more of all this stuff together like that.
That's one thing with Star Wars that is just unmatched, is the blending of everything into major projects. Like even with the Marvels and DC stuff, like they take bits and pieces from the comics, but they don't really do anything from the games, the fan fictions, all the other stuff. And it's so hard to keep up with in Star Wars, just for me. But it's rewarding when it pays off.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the companies that does a great job with mixed media, as far as all of it mattering and all of it being canon. So like at all of the High Republic books coming out, all the comics that are coming out, all the video games, all of the tie-in novels that are coming out, and the animated series, the live action series, they're all like part of one cohesive Star Wars galaxy. So it's cool, and it can be daunting at the same
look at
time.
Spider-Man. They just finally acknowledged they all exist in the same multiverse, but it's been how many years since Tobey Maguire, then Andrew Garfield, and now Tom Holland? And you're just supposed to like think they don't exist together, and they're not the same person. It's just completely different. And then they were like, did the finger point thing literally.
Yeah. And then the last thing to wrap up our news before we get into the finale episode discussion is basically kind of a looking forward. Now, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen have both said that this show was always envisioned as kind of like it's a self-contained, one-off, limited series story. But then also during the making of it, they had such fun doing it that both have said in interviews during like the marketing and promotion for these 6 episodes that they would come back if the story was right.
The mouse better pay up and deliver. He better. We need season 2.
Yeah,
or a movie or something.
Yeah, so we'll get into it more when we talk about the episode, but there's the only thing that like I have a concern with any kind of like another season with this is we've said it in other episodes too, where it's like they have less and less kind of runway of in which to do stuff. I mean, they can always do a story that takes place over like the course of like 2 days for a season, and it's just like fast paced, like because like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, that's like over the course of like 24 hours. So there's stories that you can
showed 24
do that are
and
that's there you go.
24 episodes for one day.
Yeah, we'll get season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi is 24 episodes, one shot in real time over the course of 24 hours.
I feel there's stuff they could explore, and it doesn't have to be like as in depth of a storyline as they did. Like, it's weird. You could like, we'll get into it in the episode how Vader and Palpatine's relationship is. You could explore that more. you can explore what Obi-Wan's doing on Tatooine a little more. I don't know.
I almost feel like if they do a season 2, it'll almost have to be like a Book of Boba Fett route in the matter of like, say, Vader has a show now and it follows, because I feel like the interaction between these two is kind of over now until they meet each other again in A New Hope. But there could be other stories that happen with
it doesn't have to be Vader and like chasing him
over the course of a period of time.
There's stuff you could do,
but and
I just hope they do it. It's because this series was so good. It just met and exceeded anything I wanted. So
yeah, but so I mean, I would watch a season 2. They've yet to announce one. I guess if they were going to announce a season 2, that they'll probably wait until D23 Expo later this summer. So I think if we do find out about them moving forward with one, that would probably be where we find out at that point, closer to like when Andor's coming out late this summer. So we will find out more then, but that is going to wrap up our news section for the episode and our first kind of overall segment. Right now, we're going to lead into the listener voicemails this week. A little peek behind the curtain, we may or may not have multiple voicemails this week. That's up in the air, so in a few seconds you might hear just one, or you might hear multiple voicemails.
Who leaves a voicemail, really?
So
text me that shit.
Yeah. But actually, if you do have the Anchor app, there is a button in the app where you can leave a voicemail for us, and we can put it into the episode. So if you do ever want to do that for any episodes about stuff you want to talk about,
I encourage you to leave voicemails as well. I was joking.
Yeah. But we will be back in a few moments, and when we come back, Stanford will be with us to discuss Part 6 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Hello there, boys. This is Mr. Vector, editor of this podcast, just stopping by to say Obi-Wan Kenobi served us well. I really enjoyed this series. It had its flaws. It had some things that did not get answered, some questions that I wanted answered. But overall, the feeling it left me with was joy, elation, and a sense of closure for Obi-Wan's grief and his failure of Anakin. I loved all the stuff with Hayden. Ewan and Hayden really made this series and made me want to spend more time in this universe. I would say the downside for me was probably the budget and some of the limitations of this show. I probably would have rather have seen this as a movie than a series, but hopefully we'll get to spend some more time in this universe, season 2, what have you, as it were. All right, Mark, Mike, back to you.
All right, and we are back from one or multiple listener voicemails.
I think someone watched episode 1 of Phantom Menace and not Obi-Wan based on their take.
Yeah, Vector, we were very clearly talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 6 this week, not Phantom Menace. I mean, there are a few similarities of cast members in both of those, but
get with the program.
And I still don't support what you're saying. That I mean,
just terrible takes.
You're gonna. I mean, if you keep saying stuff like that, Vector, you're gonna get canceled, and people aren't gonna want to be friends with you. So just cut that stuff out. But anyways, enough of that. We're welcoming our guest this week, Stanford Clark, my co-host on Animation Fascination, and he hosts his own podcast with movies past and present. Thanks for coming on, Stanford.
Hey, thanks for the invitation. I'm so glad to be here.
Yes, thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Now, the past few episodes we've had our guests kind of give us kind of a lowdown on like what they've thought of the preceding episodes before it. What have you been enjoying, and what has been your favorite parts of I guess for you now, it's going to be the rest of the series, parts 1 through 5. Wow, what was been your favorite part?
So, number one, I'm just happy that we have this show. You know,
Agreed.
when Disney wanted, bought Lucasfilm and they announced they were going to be doing a bunch of stuff, one of the movies that I really was hoping for was an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. So, I feel like this is what we finally get, and while I think the series maybe has had some uneven moments, I've really enjoyed it, and I think my favorite episodes so far have been 1, 2, and 5. And then, of course, we'll be talking about 6, which I loved. But we'll get there. But I've had a blast. I mean, for me, being a lifelong Star Wars fan, it's kind of like, what's not to like being able to have a new Star Wars show once a week, during the month of June. This has just been fantastic.
Agreed.
Yeah, for sure. So without further ado, let's kind of get into recapping and kind of discussing different aspects of this episode. So this episode, it starts back on Tatooine, and we see Reva pushes. It was like Obi-Wan's boss from the first episode, right?
Yes.
That-
Or who
oh,
pays
yes.
him. I don't know if it was his boss, but it was
Yeah,
the
it was-
man ripping
I just
people off.
Yeah, I just recognized it was the dude from the first episode, where Obi-Wan was cutting up that meat. But
Yeah.
Random meat.
she
Yes.
random meat
Meat
cutter.
for his-
but she
Animal, right? Whatever he calls.
yeah. Oh yeah, the Opie.
Yeah.
Which sadly by the end of the series we never got any Eopie farts like we did in the prequels, unfortunately.
Dang it.
But yeah, so she pushes him aside and asks the vendor about where she can find Owen Lars, because Belle left that super awesome voicemail last week that had all that pertinent information about what she needed and where to find it. Now, this is just like a lighthearted joke, because like you said, and like we all agree, because I'm just happy to get Star Wars. Every time someone gets stabbed in the gut with a lightsaber now,
They're fine.
They're just
I want-
fine. It's just only a flesh
Qui-Gon-
wound, I think I'll take a walk
Qui-Gon
now.
Qui-Gon just looks at everybody else. He's like, "Am I a joke to you?"
I know. I'm so glad you guys are thinking the same thing. 'Cause, yeah, it's like Qui-Gon,
Yeah.
kills
Now,
him.
like with the Grand Inquisitor, Powans, they have 2 stomachs, so maybe he just got stabbed in one of them, and that's why he was good. But remember, like Maul got cut in half.
Fine.
However,
He got some spider legs and he was good.
yeah.
And then now Reva, like, she got stabbed, but she was like, if she got punched in the stomach or something like that, she would react to it. But like, man, I was like,
I mean, I'd react
Like,
if I
they're
got
okay.
punched in the stomach too, but
yeah. So
Seriously.
I guess more so if you got stabbed in the stomach.
I got
first.
stabbed in the stomach. I just stay down. I would not be pulling myself around Tatooine.
Right.
I'd be down.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
So, like, if there's any picks to knit, that would be literally the only thing
Yeah.
that I would have to say about this, like, just in general.
Well, the more I think about it, and based on the end of the episode, and if you think back to New Hope, when Vader kills Obi-Wan, and then you think about Luke dying, it's like a choice to go to this ghost realm. So,
Yeah, like the only other thing too is that everybody that has survived an abdomen stomach wound like that has been heavily influenced by the dark side.
yeah, they maybe can't go to this realm.
Yeah, and like the Grand Inquisitor last week too even said something about like revenge is a great tool to
Heal.
to basically heal yourself, more or less. So if that's the reasoning, I can kind of see that too with
But still,
yeah.
you're cutting through
But-
metal doors and all this stuff, and you stab someone in the stomach, and they're just out fighting again tomorrow.
Fennec Shan will just be like, "I got a guy. I'll bring you to him." See,
Well, or they all just have back to tanks, that are just like in an adjacent room. They can just like get up.
Portable back to
Yeah, exactly.
Although at least you don't have to wear the
Diaper.
big diaper anymore, like Luke had to in Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
They worked out the diaper kinks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Diaper kinks, title of your. Anyways, meanwhile in space, Darth Vader's Imperial Star Destroyer, the Devastator, is pursuing the Rokin's freight transport.
I can't
and
tell
on
you
that,
how happy that made me to see. I mean, that whole sequence.
Yeah, like all this stuff looks great. It
looks
like,
so great.
Film quality with all of this, and like as they're pursuing the transport, it's got Roken in there. It's got Kumail Nanjiani. You got Obi-Wan in there. You got Leia, and everybody else was with the path. And on there, basically, they're trying to get the hyperdrive going again, and Obi-Wan knows that the ship's basically motivation, or Vader's motivation, is pretty much just to come after him. Yeah. So, and the ship's motivator itself is damaged, and they're running out of time. So, Leia uses Lola to comfort Karan and his mother. And Karan is actually like was in an expanded universe character that was like with like the Rogue Squadron in like the pre Disney acquisition books. So like, this is information I've picked up from other like podcasts and stuff that I've listened to, where this could be something maybe like they're setting him up. So with like the film Patty Jenkins is doing, the Rogue Squadron film, that maybe he'll end up being that same kind of character later on in her film, which is supposed to be set, I believe, after like all the sequel trilogy stuff. So that would kind of drive timeline wise with how old this kid is here and how old the character would be by that point. So that would be interesting to see. But then we cut back to Tatooine, and we see Luke and Uncle Owen are visiting the mechanic to obtain a new belt for the land speeder, because Luke's already breaking stuff, especially on the land speeder. And the guy that was there when Reva was looking for Owen earlier comes and tells Owen what's up and what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so we then see them run back, and I made a joke to my wife and son when we were watching this. I was like, oh, so does Luke just pretty much like wear like the same thing for like 9 years or so?
It just grows with him.
Yep.
But I thought that was funny how he was basically like the kid in this was basically wearing the same thing that we see Mark Hamill wearing.
It's the only clothes Jawas have for sale. Like,
good point. Yeah.
But yeah, like so far in this part of the episode, like what did you guys think so far, like leading up to this point with like all the stuff with Reva and what we think's going on with Kenobi on this ship up to here?
I mean, with the Kenobi thing, I was like, so you could tell it's the bond him and Anakin have, like, was just full on display. He's like, I know what's going on. Like, I gotta sacrifice myself for you guys, and that was just, I just loved that part. It was just, he's so in tune with Anakin still, and knows every move he's gonna make just about. It was so cool. But then the whole Reva thing, I was like, where's this going? I kind of know what's going to happen, because obviously Luke survives in some fashion. I didn't know what. And just maybe dislike Owen a little more.
Yeah, like this whole thing too, because like after like Owen tells Beru that someone's coming after Luke and they need to basically flee with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see how much of like a BA Beru is, where she's like, no, we gotta stay here and we gotta fight, and she starts pulling rifles out of the wall and stuff.
Yeah,
I was like, oh dang, Aunt Beru.
Aunt Beru, I know. She's getting it done.
Is Aunt Beru gonna have to choke somebody? It was good to finally see Bonnie Peace in the show too, outside of just like randomly seeing her in a far off shot.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah. I thought so. The same. Yeah.
But it's definitely convincing, like with Joe Egerton, that he's gonna, like in 9 years, going to look like the Uncle Owen.
Unlike everybody else.
Yeah, like it's like you can see that, like that stitching there, like within that 9 years. You can even see it with. I don't know if they put makeup on Bonnie Pease, but you can kind of even see that with her too, with like her starting to go closer to Aunt Beru.
Yeah, it was good casting. Yeah.
Yeah. George Lucas definitely did a good job back in 2001 when he cast both of them in Attack of the Clones. So it's kind of crazy, like that they've like grown into the roles over that time, like over the past 20 years.
And I was just so happy that they were like in the show. I mean, like, that they're still alive, and they could be, they could participate. I mean, basically everybody could, that they were really happy about it.
Yeah, and then so like from here we go back to Roken's ship, and Kumal, aka Haja, spoken with Leia and gives Kenobi space to talk to her, basically letting Kenobi know that like he's kind of, I don't know, made like Leia see that it'll be okay that Obi-Wan's got to go to do this, to leave the transport so he can take on Vader by himself. And like from there, Kenobi tells Leia to tell her father, Bail, about his efforts to rescue her and try to get her back to Alderaan on time. He also hands Leia the Tala's empty gun holster, and I thought this was a little funny joke too, because she's like, "Oh, you gave me it's empty holster." She's like, "Well, I'm not going to give you, I'm not going to give you a blaster. You're 10 years old, but you won't always be." So I thought first, that was funny.
Because when I was watching it, I was like, "Wait, is that her mom's holster?" But I was like, "Why would he have that with her? That makes no sense." And then it dawned on me whose it was.
Yeah, but then part of me thought, I was like, wait, when did he get Tala's holster?
Yeah.
Didn't it blow up?
I was gonna say, didn't everything explode? So maybe,
she exploded, but the holster was still there.
Yeah, or it was.
That was the only thing. That was the only thing I was thinking of. Unless I missed something from last week.
Yeah,
where,
I was gonna say maybe there was.
Gave him the holster like after like the whole backstory that she told him, but like where she was telling him about the holster and whatnot. But that I do not know if I missed that or whatnot. But from there, Kenobi heads to the dropship. Roken tries to reason with him again, saying that they can fix the hyperdrive. But then Roken accepts that Kenobi's decision, realizing that he has unfinished business with Vader. But before leaving, Kenobi tells Roken that the rebellion will need more leaders like him. And Roken said he's just getting started with that. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe we'll see O'Shea Jackson Jr. again in the Andor series, possibly. And I'm also wondering if we'll see more of Kamal Nanjiani in that as well, too. Just because it seems kind of interesting that they cast both of these two
and
in
they
this
haven't
series.
done much.
And like they were good in what they were given to do, but they, like you said, they didn't have too much to do a lot of the times, just since the show's like so focused on Obi-Wan. I mean, Andor's presumably going to be very focused on Diego Luna's Andor, so it should be interesting to see if we do see these characters pop up anywhere else in like any other series too.
I'm curious to know, because everyone seems to like, oh, Obi-Wan figured it out, and everyone agrees with him. Or is he doing the mind trick on him? Is he making them see his way through his powers? Because just a thought.
Something to think about. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good point, Mike. Yeah.
But from here, Kenobi flies the dropship out of Roken's freighter, drawing the attention of the Imperials who detect him on aboard. The Grand Inquisitor tells Vader that they should continue to pursue the Path ship, opting to go after this entire group to take them all out in this one fell swoop rather than prioritizing the one Jedi. But Vader is like nah.
We're going there. Turn around.
We're going at prepare my ship. I'm going after Obi-Wan. So, like during this whole time, we're kind of cutting back and forth between the stuff with Obi-Wan and Vader, and then on the Lars homestead with Reva and Owen and Luke and Aunt Peru. And so Owen tells Luke that the Tusken Raiders are going to attack the
Poor
farm.
Tusken Raiders. Blamed for everything.
Right?
Yeah. And he's like, well, it's from a certain point of view. While they plan to stay and fight, he also warns Luke to run if anything goes wrong. And one of the things I thought was cool here too is Luke says, "I'm not afraid," and I was like, hey, I was the Leonardo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood meme, where he's like pointing at the TV, and I was like, hey, I remember when Luke said that later when he's an adult. Yeah, so he's always not afraid, and I'm almost heard like when the kids said that, I almost heard
Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill saying it in my head at the same time. So I thought that was cool how they had showed how Luke is kind of like always kind of been fearless, either when he's a little 10-year-old kid or whether he's 19 or older in the films. So I thought that was a nice little
family
thing
trait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Owen and Beru reassure the Luke that things will be okay. And then meanwhile, Kenobi flies his starship to this rocky moon covered with like all these kind of like stalagmites and pinnacles and stuff on it. And well, basically he goes down and he starts to face Kenobi. As he flies down to the planet to face his former master, Kenobi leaves Lola inside the ship's cockpit. Now, man, like this, I loved this whole like scene here with this. It was like really emotionally powerful between Vader and Obi-Wan during all of this. Like the dialogue back and forth. I said to my wife and son after finishing it, I was like, would you guys make fun of me if I told you that I cried a little bit during that scene? And my wife said, not to your face. But and then I asked my son, and he just like looked at me and he's like, but yeah, like this like kind of whole back and forth between Obi-Wan and Anakin / Vader here, I thought was great. We got this back and forth with Vader saying like you've gotten your strength back, but you still have all that weakness, and he buries him under these rocks. And there's kind of this shot which I almost thought he was gonna say the line as he was standing up on top of this pit of rocks as he's starting to throw the rocks down at Obi-Wan. He's gonna be like, I have the high ground. But he didn't say
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just one of the things I thought was notable here too is that he still called him master.
Yeah.
As he does that.
I thought that was a little weird, but
But yeah, I thought that was interesting because you can see how there's still like that bit of Anakin leaking through Vader into all of this. I was gonna go back and forth between like this and the stuff with the Lars homestead, but I guess let's focus on
let's finish
this
on the battle
fight
royale.
Yeah,
I loved when he was in the rocks that he's just sitting there holding all of the rocks above him still. But
me too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like he's basically forming like this force bubble above him to keep the rocks above him, and while he's there, like he's haunted by like all these memories of previous fights with Vader, and like hear like these lines that Vader said this season, and like the flashback we got in the last episode. You hear some of those lines. You hear some stuff from Revenge of the Sith here as well, and then you just see him like blast all of these rocks out of there.
Doesn't he have the memories of the kids before that happens?
Yeah, and
Well, then,
Yeah,
and then
he's-
he thinks about the kids, and then I think it's from my perspective is when he starts thinking about what he can do to serve others, and and to keep the fight going,
Yeah.
of the rebellion. That's what just kind of like gives him his super force strength, to do what he does next.
Like, I failed him,
Yeah,
but he has 2 kids who he can probably sense they're promising,
Yep.
and he's like, and
yeah.
I say I can make it so they are not you. Like,
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, he starts like chucking all these rocks at Vader.
Oh, that was so cool.
Was that
It's like
the coolest or what?
barrage
He's
of
got like
rocks.
hundreds of rocks floating around him, just hurling them all at Vader. Oh, man.
And what I like about all this stuff too is like there's always that like there's been a joke recently of stuff that like Jedi can do is just float rocks and some other stuff like that, and I thought like this was like basically Jedi floating rocks to like the nth
Yeah.
degree. So I liked that basically coming to its full fruition there
Yeah.
with that.
Now you know why
And,
they float rocks.
I know.
Yeah.
You can fling him at your
And then
enemies.
they resume their duel together, and from this too you already start to hear like that familiar like Vader's suit like struggling to keep him breathing
I
sound
thought that
effect.
started after Obi-Wan started punching that apparatus.
Yeah.
Well, it starts just very slightly here just because of getting inundated with all the
Right.
like the rocks, but
I guess I
it
just
keeps
didn't
getting
notice
worse.
it that soon.
Yeah, it keeps getting worse as he's like, systematically like
Failing.
punching and stabbing the different
Beating to hell.
flashing
Seriously.
lights on Vader's suit. But basically, after he corners Vader, he strikes his helmet, damaging the mask and exposing the left side of his scarred face. So we get that.
You see how much
Like,
headroom he had in that helmet? Like, that helmet was not snug.
Yeah. There's all sorts of room in that.
Yeah, but when I saw this, I thought this was great, especially after like watching. So there's a mirrored scene of this in Rebels between Ahsoka and Anakin Vader too, where like the same thing kind of happens to the helmet there, and you can hear a hint of Anakin's voice and Vader's voice kind of interchangeably like mixing together, and I liked how they did that in here too, with like the kind of fluctuation between Hayden's voice segueing into James Earl Jones' voice, and then there's like a mixture of it at certain points as well too. And they have like Kenobi has this whole thing with him. He dresses him as Anakin,
Right.
and Vader
I killed
responds
him.
that Anakin's gone and that he is all that remains. And you can see like, and then like this is the scene that I ended up crying a little bit at, just because like this, I thought this was really emotional. Like Kenobi's like super distraught and apologized to Anakin. Like, and this to me felt like almost an exact sequel to the scene from Revenge of the Sith, where it's like, "You're my brother, Anakin.
Yeah.
I loved you." And this felt just kind of like a continuation of that, and like where Anakin says, "I am not your failure. You didn't kill Anakin. I did that." And he says something like, "Then my friend truly is dead." Then
It was basically Obi-Wan saying goodbye. Like,
yeah,
Is-
and yeah, he says goodbye, Darth.
And Obi-Wan
stops
being able
there.
to like let go of the guilt he's felt.
Yeah,
You
that
know.
was-
Yeah, in a way, Anakin almost gave that to me. He, like, almost abdicated him of and any of that guilt he was still
Yeah,
feeling
'cause-
about him. He was like, "It wasn't your fault. I made the
He
choice."
did it. Yeah, he made the choice.
well, yeah, it's because that's who Anakin was and who Vader is. It's like, I'm in control. You're not. Like, that's his whole thing. And it was just this.
Yeah.
One thing about the lightsaber duels I've loved in this series is nobody's doing all these crazy flips, and it's like not parkourish. It's just heavy hitting, like, I want to hurt you battles. Like, they're
Yeah.
personal. It's not stylistic fighting.
Although we did get the Obi-Wan pose again, slightly with like the hand behind and the hand forward.
Mm.
But yeah,
he had to throw that in.
I'm with
know?
you. He wasn't like doing flips or flying around.
Like they wanted each other gone. Like, it was so personal. And then it makes me think, looking at the lightsabers, how they're so dark. Like, how do they fade in A New Hope? How are you going to explain that now? Like, that's where my mind went watching after that battle was over. Like, Obi-Wan's lightsaber is such a dark blue, and Vader's is such a dark red. And then in A New Hope, since it was the 70s, they aren't as dark. Like,
yeah, just because it was done like a whole different process. But yeah, that's almost. Side note, that's almost one thing. I wonder why they never did, or I guess why Lucas never changed when he did the special editions, even like post doing the prequels to match the sabers to be closer to how they look there. And people have also pointed out how the environment of the sabers is actually like reflecting off of like Vader's helmet and people's faces within this, and like it never did that.
Yeah,
and
the technology allows them to do that now.
Yeah. And the stylistic choices, I think, too. But, yeah.
One of the things I liked most about this fight, too, was that earlier in the fight was when, like, Vader put his hand on the ground and basically did that, like, the force push to the ground.
Yeah, that was cool. It was gnarly, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And this also leads credence to the fact, like the story that Obi-Wan will eventually tell Luke about a dark Lord of the Sith named Darth Vader killed your father.
It's kind of true.
Because it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so cutting back from here to Tatooine, we see Reva is going after Luke. Luke flees into Beggar's Canyon with Reva in hot pursuit against him. And then, like, during this whole thing, Reva is basically catches up to Luke. He kind of gets knocked unconscious, like, from falling like down like the side of the canyon there. And she goes to like take like the killing strike to take Luke, but then she basically has a Empire Strikes Back moment where she sees herself on the ground as a child, and then and gets like all these like flashbacks to like Vader and Anakin, like when he was going to do the same to her when she was younger. And then we see her ultimately make the right choice and not take out Luke. So at the same time as Kenobi is leaving the moon that he was just facing Vader on, and he senses that Luke's in trouble, so
he got there so fast.
Oh my gosh, I know, like instantly.
Yeah. He books it to Tatooine and to the Lars homestead. He finds Owen and Beru looking frantically for Luke, and Reva approaches them while carrying the unconscious Luke. And I thought they were all going to think like Luke was dead and like try to like take Reva out at this point, but then luckily Luke's like sort of shuffling up and he's awake. So from all this, like Lars carries Luke back to safety, and Kenobi faces Reva and tells her that she can kill Skywalker and that she failed to, she says that she couldn't kill Skywalker and that she failed to avenge her fellow younglings' deaths at the hands of Lord Vader. But Obi-Wan reassures her that she hasn't failed, but that she's actually brought peace and honor by showing mercy. And then he also tells Reva that she has not fallen to the dark side and adds that she is free to choose her own destiny. Reva cries before laying down her double-bladed spinning saber, and Kenobi helps Reva and then Kenobi helps Reva to her feet and reassures her that they're both free. And one of the things I thought right here at one point, I was like, are they going to bury her saber?
I was wondering that too. I was like, is that just going to disappear into the sand all of a sudden?
Yeah, and I was like, is the Lars homestead just the burial
Wait, no,
place
it's just
for,
where people go bury
for lightsabers now?
Ray. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tatooine just eats lightsabers. Just...
Yeah.
The sands of Tatooine. That stuff.
Yeah, but from here we cut back to Vader's fortress on Mustafar, in a repaired suit, and he's talking to none other than Darth Sidious, aka Sheev Palpatine, and he tells him that he's dispatched probe droids to hunt down Kenobi. The Emperor notices that Vader is agitated and questions whether his apprentice is affected by his feelings for his former master, and Vader responds that Kenobi means nothing and reaffirms his loyalty to
So quickly.
Palpatine while he sits in his throne.
Again, it
He's
was just
he's
like, nope, all done. Gotcha.
yeah.
Message received.
But yeah, I thought this was kind of interesting with that too. Like, what did you think about like all of this between Reva and Obi-Wan, and then with Vader and Palpatine?
I was so stoked that we got to see Palpatine. You know, that was one of the things I kind of. Well, no, I wanted to see Vader's castle on Mustafar. You know, so I was happy that we got to see that, and happy we got to see that whole, you know, interchange. And I also thought it was important because again, I thought this was a healthy bridge into Episode 4.
I agree. It was an important scene. You kind of needed to see that. The Reva storyline kind of felt throwaway to me.
Yeah, you know, I wasn't a fan of the Reva storyline either. The only thing I really liked about it was finally when Reva and Obi-Wan are having that heart-to-heart, you know, after, as we were just talking about, as you know, her damaged sabers on the ground, and Obi-Wan's telling her, you know, that now she's got a choice, and that's cool. For me, that's just like a cool Star Wars life lesson that I think we can apply to all of us. Is that, you know, we have a choice of what direction we want to take. But
It just, her storyline served. We need to get Obi-Wan back to Tatooine. How do we do it?
Yes, I know, right?
But no, it was good to see the Vader Palpatine dynamic and how much Vader just like, okay, you're right, I'm just with you, no question. And then in Jedi, of course, he starts questioning, and then eventually in Jedi realizes he went the wrong way. So it was nice to see how quickly the Emperor was just like, you're worrying about something you shouldn't. Yep, you're right. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, guys, I'm going to pause it really quick right here and stop the meeting and restart it because we're running out of time with the 40-minute limit. Keep your recordings going on your side.
Will do.
But I'll be right back.
Okay.
All righty. Zoom will disappear in 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey there.
One of these days, I'm gonna have to spring for the upgraded version of Zoom.
I'm with you though. If you know, figure out ways to make the free version work. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have that much left. It's just like the end of the episode, and then our closing stuff for our episode.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
Hey
And
there.
We're back.
Mark will be right back, he said.
That's why I was late joining, because I had to run to the restroom.
Where do you live, Mike?
I'm in upstate New York.
Okay.
Central New York, mainly.
In Mark's old stomping grounds, too, right? That's where you...
Yep.
You guys, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great.
Where are you?
I am in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Salt Lake City.
Out west. Not too, I guess, closer to Mark, but, you know, the west is pretty spread out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like an 11-hour drive to Mark's.
Oh, yeah. We have a visitor.
Sylvie. So cute.
Okay, 30 minutes. And she plopped back down and is ready for another nap. But yeah, like going from there, we then cut. I called this to my son. I was like, "This is the Return of the King ending to Obi-Wan Kenobi."
Return of the
'Cause-
King.
Yeah, because we got the Vader Sidious
A
wrap
lot
up
of
ending,
endings.
and
Yeah.
then we got and then here we're getting the Alderaan, Leia, Bail Organa ending. So yeah, here we see Leia's dressing up and combs her own hair, to kind of show the difference between the earlier part of the season where she, like, you know, she had like all the handmaidens and stuff doing it for her. She's got a costume or outfit on a little bit closer to what we'll eventually see her wearing in A New Hope. She puts on the holster, which is funny because like how big it is compared to like her little 10-year-old body. And then her mom comes in. She's like, "Is that a holster?" I like it. I was like, well, that's weird. But I liked how she even had her hairdo was a little bit closer to
Right. It's starting to bun up.
It is.
yeah. And I want to say this was really close to one of the hairdos that Padme has in Attack of the Clones too. At one point where she has,
Yeah,
where she
it's
herself is doing like the buns there. But here we see that Obi-Wan is landing on Alderaan, which that was a surprise to me. I didn't know if they would actually see each other again in this series.
Yeah, I kind of was wondering that too.
Yeah, same.
But like he's basically coming back so that he can give Lola back to Leia, and she and him embrace, and he tells her basically the traits that she has from essentially Padme, and then he tells her the traits. So with that, he says that she's wise, discerning, kind-hearted, and he says those come from her mother. And then he says she's also passionate, fearless, and forthright, which he attributes to Anakin. So I thought that was interesting, and that shows still how Obi-Wan, even though he's kind of made his peace with like Anakin becoming Vader, how he still values his basically brotherhood and friendship that he had with that man. And how he's like wanting to take care of his kids for him now, almost in a way.
It's kind of like he went to his funeral and said, "I'm at peace with your passing. Like, I can talk about you in a kind light again."
Yeah, and he's like, your parents were exceptional people who bore an exceptional daughter. And then before departing, he tells Leia that she can turn to him for help, but stresses the need to be careful. Leia and her adoptive parents watch as Kenobi depart. So I liked how she said goodbye, Obi-Wan, there too. And that kind of reattributes to, like, with him saying, like, she has to be careful, in a sense, to like why she addresses him the way that she does when she leaves the message for him
Right.
in 9 years.
Unlike her
in,
dad.
On R2. Yeah, man. Bale must have just been having a bad day because Bale definitely knows better than what he did with that
I know.
message.
Seriously.
I just chalk that up to him being a frantic,
yeah.
concerned parent
Yeah.
wanting to find his kid. But there, from Leia, we cut back to Tatooine, and Kenobi is departing his caves, packs it all up, takes that one last look, and if there was a light switch in his cave, he probably would have gotten
I
that
was
shot
waiting
where
for that too. The light to just turn.
Well, and
the light
I
turns
was
off.
wanting Qui-Gon to show up the whole
Here?
episode, you know, and so I was like, okay, maybe
Okay.
when he's back in the cave, you know. But anyway, we finally get it, but you know, not till the end.
we'll get there.
I know. Sorry. I'm spoiler alert.
Huh. But yeah, he rides on his Eope towards the large homestead where Luke is playing. Owen asks what Kenobi is doing there. Kenobi basically tells him that Luke should be allowed to grow up like an ordinary boy, but he also allows Owen to remain Luke's protector, which he vows, which he also vows to do so too. Basically, and then Owen allows Kenobi to meet Luke, and then we finally get the the thing, you know.
We get the thing.
He said the thing. Hello there. But I have to feel like they don't have that impressive a meeting, since Luke's like, "Oh, Ben Kenobi."
You mean old Ben?
You think Obi-Wan Kenobi? You think he's related to that old Ben Kenobi? When we saw Obi-Wan leaving that cave too, for a moment I also thought we were going to see him get to his hut and like moving into that. But I guess if we get a season 2, maybe that's where we see that. Yeah, after that, and we see the T-16 Skyhopper toy in his bag there too. So I'm assuming that Luke finally gets that toy that Obi-Wan bought for him. And then after that, Kenobi is riding on his Eope back into the desert, and he's approaching Beggar's Canyon, and then all of a sudden we see this. We are taken aback. See what I did there? From a visage of a Force ghost, just kind of standing there. Then he turns around, and it is his master Qui-Gon. Kenobi's surprised to see his former master Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon replies that he was just not ready to see Qui-Gon. He's like, "I've been here the whole time, man.
You've been making mistakes left and right."
Yeah, and then Qui-Gon says that he still has some distance to travel before the two continue the journey through Beggar's Canyon. And roll credits. So this is where season 1 of Obi-Wan Kenobi ends. But yeah, what's good? I'm like, oh man, what happens now?
Yeah, that's what I was
But
like. I was like,
this-
and next episode. Like,
Yeah, but and like what Qui-Gon says to him here too was that he wasn't just ready to see him. That leads his whole credence to theories that people have had for kind of years with Luke and how he sees Obi-Wan in the original trilogy, whereas like Luke becomes more attuned to the Force. The Force Ghost image of Obi-Wan becomes more. Well, first he appears to him just like as the voice in New Hope, so he doesn't see him at all that way. But then in Empire, we see him, and he's a little bit more quote unquote solid of a ghost, and he interacts with him there on Hoth, and then in Return of the Jedi, he's like almost straight up corporeal, but he's like very solid blue in that, and he even can sit on the log there. So yeah, this just leads me to think that like how they appear as like Force Ghost doesn't have anything to do almost with like how strong that Jedi is within like the Force Ghost aspect of it all, but how strong and perceptive the Jedi that's seeing them is, and to be able to see them and to be able to essentially see on that wavelength of the Force to see them, which is like why like Luke is the only one that's seeing Anakin, Yoda, and Obi-Wan at the end of Return of the Jedi, but Leia hasn't, because she hasn't really like attuned herself to the Force in the same way.
Right.
And I guess that kind of explains like why Rey would also see Luke and Leia that way at the end of Rise of Skywalker too. So, but yeah, I was glad that we finally got Qui-Gon, and it's cool to see Force Ghost Qui-Gon in this.
Yeah.
What did you guys think?
No, it was very. It was. You needed it. It was kind of like if they didn't do it, it might have been the biggest disappointment of the series. Thing, but
yeah, because people basically like after like Obi-Wan talking to Qui-Gon for like several episodes, I really feel like if this hadn't happened, people would have got really upset. Which, it's their right not to put Qui-Gon in there if they didn't want to.
Right,
too.
and that's what I figured. I figured that he probably wasn't going to show up. I mean, I was hoping, as I mentioned, but it finally
they waited until the very end,
last possible moment it could have happened. Yeah.
But yeah, I was saying that I would watch an entire series that was just like a Karate Kid, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon training in the Force, where like Qui-Gon is Miyagi and Obi-Wan is Daniel-san, and he's just teaching him more of this stuff so he can be more powerful than Vader can ever imagine if he gets stricken down.
well, I'm sure that could be all with the next season, is him teaching him about this ghost plane that they can exist on, and yet Vader needing to find out Luke and Leia are actually alive and his kids. Like, because they don't really cover when Vader knows this, because he thinks they're dead.
Yeah, and I think that's more just because Anakin's so powerful in the Force, he basically gets just like a free pass to the Force Ghost thing. But
he atones by killing, quote unquote, Palpatine.
Yeah.
At least throwing him down a chute.
Yeah. Did you guys have any things that like stood out from the series that you wanted to kind of speak on as we wrap up this episode, talking about the finale?
I thought it was really. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
you,
I was going to say I'll let you go first.
Okay.
That's what I was going to say.
So as I mentioned, I was just so happy that the series exists. I'm so happy that it exists, and maybe I didn't love every choice that was made, but I still, I was entertained. I thought that they did a very nice job bridging episodes 3 and 4 with it, and Ewan McGregor's such a great actor, so I think that was just so great just to have a show that was just so focused on his character, even though there was a lot of other stuff going on, and then just all the satisfying stuff that we've just been talking about. That Qui-Gon shows up, and that final battle with Vader was, for me, really satisfying. It was just I thought it was fantastic.
I agree. That battle was what I wanted to happen.
Yep.
Not in like a prequel type battle where they're like doing all the flips and parkour moves. The battles in general were great throughout this series. Reva's story at the end, it kind of had very little payoff, so kind of upset by that because it kind of took away from it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I loved this series. It was just so good, so reaffirming to like after watching Book of Boba Fett being like, wow, that one kind of let me down. Then this one came out and I was like, screw that. This was so much better. And just the overall Obi-Wan story that we needed to hear and see, we got. It met my expectations and then some. Like, I was so pumped when they were just like, we're not going to talk about Luke. We're going to talk about Leia now.
Yeah.
Like, that was so... Like, I wanted that.
That was such a surprise. Yeah, a happy surprise.
Like, 'cause we know what happens with Luke. We've seen what happens with Luke. But what happens with Leia? And here we go.
Yeah. And then, like, myself, I really enjoyed it as well, too. And then, like, I've always really been, like, a huge fan of the prequel films, too. So it's been fun to see like Hayden back in the role as Anakin, interacting with Hewan as Obi-Wan, and especially like in this last episode, in episode 5, with like that whole flashback to them, seemingly just prior to the events of Attack of the Clones, and seeing like their friendship and brotherhood together again, and just seeing like all like these allusions to both like the clone trooper we saw there in episode 2 of the series, and just like the general overall tone. And I need to find a YouTube video now. It's like a super cut of the Anakin Obi-Wan duels from Mustafar through to the part 3 episode of this to the part 6 episode. They could even put in the flashback from episode 5 too here, and then finally wrapping it up with the like A New Hope stuff. It would be cool to see that like edited together in like in a really cool way. But I would say overall I really enjoyed the series. We're gonna do a kind of like a post-series kind of analysis, like full like wraparound thing in a couple weeks. But yeah, like I liked Moses Ingram's portrayal of Reva. I do wish Reva had like a little bit more of like a meteor story that interconnected
Season 2.
a little bit more. Yeah, and or like her motivations sometimes made a little bit more sense. Like I really liked her, and I thought she did a great job. But yeah, like you were saying, like, and that just shows how good the show was too. There's very little things to nitpick at or to find any kind of issue with at all. So I would say overall, I think this is one of my favorite Star Wars pieces of media. And overall with TV shows, I think it's, for me, just under the Clone Wars series. Like, but above, for me, it's above Mandalorian.
Agree.
So
Agree.
it's like, yeah, it's like right in between Mando and Clone Wars for me. But yeah, I am all for seeing more Hayden as Anakin, more Ewan as Obi-Wan, and whatever else they want to give us of Star Wars. I'm just happy for Star Wars stuff to watch from Lucasfilm.
Yeah, there's stuff they can do for a season 2, like just little things, eggs to plant to go into the original trilogy. So, or a movie, a one-off movie, not even a season.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see what happens from there. I'm sure I will find something out one way or the other later this year at D23. But that's going to do it for our episode covering part 6 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. You guys can leave us a review on the podcast catcher of your choice, whether that's Spotify or Apple Podcasts. They let you leave reviews. We're also available on Anchor and a bunch of other places. You can also find the show on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at HoldoPod. You can also find us on YouTube by searching for the Hold Maneuver Podcast. We're trying to get more subscribers there, just so we can actually get a personal or like a custom address that's actually like youtube.com/HoldoPod. So it's not like, that long random letters and numbers address. So the more subscribers we get, we'll actually be able to do that. But individually, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at Marc Vibbert, MarcVibbert. Mike?
You can just search my name, Michael Soren. Last name not spelled how it sounds. That's Sawran. And usually there's an underscore following my name just because I wanted to be fancy.
And then Stanford?
I'm at Stanford Clark, all one word.
Yeah. We all make it very easy for you to find us online. As does our editor, who you can also find on Instagram and Twitter. You can find him just by searching for Vactor, Vactor.
Leave him some messages to do better reviews.
Yeah. Come on, man. You can email us at holdopod@gmail.com. And then, as always, we are grateful to George Lucas for creating the Star Wars universe.
Oh dear, thank the maker.